Today I'm discussing an extraordinary ancient Halloween survival in Fortean, part of the Glen Lyon area in Perthshire, Scotland. The account is taken from a book called The Folklore of the Scottish Highlands by the great Celtic scholar Anne Ross. Dr. Ross herself obtained the story from a man who took part in the festival as a boy during the early 20th century. This was an unusual Halloween. For a start, there was the date. It didn't take place on the 31st of October, but on the 11th of November. This harks back to the calendar adjustment from the 18th century, when the increasingly inaccurate state of the Julian calendar was adjusted to the present-day Gregorian calendar by losing 11 days. So in 1752, Wednesday the 2nd of September was followed by Thursday the 14th of September. Many rural communities were unhappy with the change and persisted in celebrating festivals such as Halloween on what they saw as the correct date. Clearly this belief persisted in Fortean longer than anywhere. Whereas other farmsteads and hamlets lit individual bonfires as part of their overall Halloween celebrations, at Fortean the bonfire was the main event. The huge communal bonfire was built on a Bronze Age tumulus known as Carn na Mav, Gaelic for the Mound of the Dead. The stone at its crown, called Clach Fleir, the Plague Stone, refers to a tradition that spoke of this tomb as the grave of plague victims brought to the site and buried by an old woman with a cart or sled pulled by a white horse. This is a folk tale, but one with a distinctly supernatural flavour. For months in advance, the young people gathered vegetation called whin from the hillside. They collected wood shavings and tar barrels, but on the day it was the older men who actually had the job of building the bonfire on the mound. Then the whole community would join hands and dance in a ring around the great blaze, moving first in one direction and then the other. The younger boys would take burning sticks from the fire and run with them, finally throwing them into the air and dancing over them where they fell. Boys also held leaping competitions over the embers, and when the fire finally died out, the children would head for home for games of ducking apples and fireside divination. Meanwhile, the adults would pair to the local hotel for drinking and dancing. There was no guising and certainly no trick-or-treating. In fact, the whole thing may seem entirely innocuous, and no doubt it was, but seen through the lens of folklore, there are some suggestive hints. The story associated with the mound bears several supernatural motifs, and in early Celtic tradition, Halloween was connected with the ancient burial tumuli, which were thought to be entrances to the underworld. Leaping or passing over fire is an ancient rite of purification. Then there's the dancing, both sunwise and anti-sunwise. All these may be traces of archaic folk magic, still present in the early 20th century. Apparently the local keeper eventually banned the gathering of cover from the hillside because it was interfering with the game. With this one key element missing, the tradition sadly withered, and in 1924 the last Halloween bonfire was lit on the Mound of the Dead. There are several other supernatural episodes associated with the Mound of the Dead, including visions and sightings of spirits. If you want to find out more, the full story is in my book The Guide to Mysterious Perthshire. Details can be found at my website www.geoffholder.com. So until the next time then, allez avec les dieux.